All right, welcome back. Again, the next section we're doing is understanding posture. It's page 205 in the manual. For you those at home, what we're going to be talking about is postural versus phasic muscles. And what those really mean, there's a gentleman who actually defined this, and his name was Vladimir Janda. He's a physician, or was a physician, passed away not too long ago. He studied muscles. He was a physician and doctor. And what he wanted to look at were why people were developing pain, and pain particularly in the back and in the neck area and the thoracic area. If you look on the 205, he passed away in 2002, but for 50 years he worked as a physician. He worked with physical therapists, he worked with chiropractors, he worked with physiatrists. He taught classes on human body, particularly with anatomy. His interest was, why are people in pain? And he looked at their posture. Posture is something that affects all of us. Right now, you're sitting. Some of you at home are sitting. Some of you are lounging on the couch watching this video. Whatever we're doing, we're taking a static position, right? With that, our bodies are going to adapt. They're going to shorten and they're going to elongate. The goal when working with someone, or even in a static position, is to keep balanced, just like life and play. Excuse me. The goal, understanding this section, is the body is made up of these two types of muscles. So if you think about postural and phasic, and remember this, when you train clients, you'll really get more results. I think what I've learned before I became a therapist, I always train people the wrong way. Meaning, an example, too much forward stuff, flexors, not enough extensors, too much of this and not enough of these. So step back, open your minds for a minute, and just go down to this path. There are two types of muscles, and this will all make sense. So what he looked at, he found there are different muscles, and within these muscles, again, he classified them as postural and phasic. He also classified them as an upper cross and lower cross syndrome. Postural muscles, as seen in the manual, tend to tighten. They assist with standing up nice and tall and straight. An example of that is the upper trapezius, which, as you know, is located from the occiput to C7. Most of my patients that come in as I see typically have trigger points in the neck or in the upper traps. They're tight nodules. They're guarded. They're very stiff and tight. The scalenes from the anterior, middle, posterior are very tight. Okay? Stress has a huge component to making this tighter, right? Obviously. Your posture, how you're sitting, the way you're sitting are all influences. So, what he said, well, they tighten. So you don't need to strengthen them. Why strengthen something that's tight? And I said, okay. On the contrary, phasic muscles, for example, rhomboids, C7, T1, 2, T5, are weaker muscles. These weaken over time. So when someone's slouching, biomechanically, the anatomy of the rhomboids, they are lengthening. They are eccentrically contracting. Do you all see that? Right? Okay. Then he went a step further, excuse me, and defined these as syndromes. And you can see on the left, the deep neck flexors became weak and tight. The tight pectorals, which are postural, became tight. The upper trapezius became tight, but the phasic muscles, which are rhomboids and serratus anterior, and low traps, became weak. So here's an imbalance on the left in the upper cross syndrome. Lower cross syndrome is, he looked at the erector spinae. He looked at gluteus maximus, particularly, phasic, weaker. Abdominals, phasic, weaker. And again, iliopsoas tends to be tight. He defined these two syndromes. So when you're working with clients, you want to think about most people.